My dad called me a fat pig at every family dinner and called it love, so I showed him what that love looks like. My dad used to turn every meal into a TED talk about my body, as if commenting on his daughter's weight was a personality trait instead of emotional abuse. I still remember how he announced to 30 relatives that I'd really filled out since starting my new job, then made me stand up so everyone could see how my dress was clinging in all the wrong places. Then came my birthday dinner at my favorite Italian restaurant. He intercepted the waiter before I could speak, ordering me a garden salad with dressing on the side because she's watching her figure, or should be. When the bread basket arrived, he moved it to the opposite end of the table, loudly explaining to our server that I had no self-control around carbs. The final insult came when he presented my gift, a year-long gym membership wrapped in a Weight Watchers pamphlet, announcing to the entire restaurant that maybe this year I'd finally commit to becoming the best version of myself. Every attempt to tell him how humiliating this was got dismissed with condescending crap about how I'd thank him when I finally found a husband. I finally confronted him in the kitchen when we came back home, desperate to make it stop. I begged him to stop, told him he was destroying our relationship and my self-esteem, that his comments weren't helping but hurting. I was crying, genuinely hoping he'd finally understand how much damage he was causing. He set down his coffee, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "No man will ever love you looking like this." When I stood there shocked, he continued, "Your mother and I lie to people about why you're still single because we're embarrassed of what you've become. So no, I'm not going to stop." He walked back to the dining room like he'd just given me fatherly advice instead of ripping my heart out. That was it. I went no contact for the entire summer, ignoring his calls and texts about how I was being dramatic. Mom begged me to come to Thanksgiving, swearing she'd keep him in check, and I finally agreed when I learned something interesting. Dad had gained 20 pounds from his new blood pressure medication and was desperately trying to hide it with baggy shirts. I realized I'd been approaching this all wrong. If Dad thought brutal honesty about someone's body was love, then I'd love him right back. Thanksgiving arrived, and I showed up looking absolutely incredible in a fitted dress that showed off the confidence he'd tried to destroy. Dad was holding court at the head of the table, already 3 beers in, when I struck. "Dad, your breath smells like something died. When's the last time you saw a dentist?" I asked sweetly, watching his face redden. As he reached for the turkey, I grabbed his plate. "Should you really be eating skin at your age? Look at that gut hanging over your belt." I pointed to Uncle Mike across the table. "Now those are a man's arms. Yours look like wet noodles hanging from your shoulders. Is that another bald spot, or did you style it that way on purpose?" The room went silent as I stood him up, just like he'd done to me. "Everyone, look how his shirt won't stay tucked because his belly keeps pushing it out. Don't worry, Dad. I brought you some Weight Watchers pamphlets because I love you enough to be honest." He went purple, mumbled something about needing the bathroom, and didn't return for 20 minutes. When he finally came back, he wouldn't make eye contact with anyone and pushed his plate away without taking another bite. But he couldn't admit why his daughter's cruelty hit so hard without acknowledging what he'd been doing to me for years.